This is the next bowl I want to create. It's going to be very similar to the last bowl we made. It's going to have a slats ring at the top. I was going to put a small layer of Purple Heart on here, but I've decided to go with cherry. So we're going to have a thin cherry ring and a thin cherry ring on the bottom, slats in the middle, and the rest of the bowl will be made out of maple with a floating base. So I'll get started and cut the slats ring. You've already seen that being done, so I won't show that. And now I've made a new sled that will make 48 pieces to a ring. So at least these top two rings, and most likely these two, will be 48 pieces to a ring. So I'll get started on that, and I'll show you at the next stage. Well, as usual, I changed my mind. I made the slats ring, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the slats ring and I'm going to cut it in half. And the 3/4 inch cherry that I was going to rip to put on top and bottom, I'm going to actually rip that into 3 pieces. So I'll put a layer of cherry, which will be thin, half the slats ring. The center piece I like to have a little thicker than the bottom and the top, and then the other half of the slats ring, and then the last piece of cherry. So this will actually be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings instead of 3. And I'm going to go with the 48 pieces to a ring. So I'll get started on doing that. And the only thing is now I've cut the 1/4 inch edge off of the slats ring. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to put a piece of oak on the other side and then try to rip it. We'll see what happens. If I break it, I'll make another one. Now what I want to do is split this slats ring in half. I should have did it when the piece was still on here, but I didn't think of it. I thought of this afterwards. So what I did is I put another piece of oak veneer on here, and we're going to rip this and see if it'll work. Okay, we're putting those cherry rings we cut, 48 pieces to a ring. And I'm using Bill Candler's method of putting rings together. The ring is only 7/32. That's how thick the ring is. It almost magically snapped itself right in place. Okay, now what I'm going to attempt to do, there's a little unevenness here. This is where it joins together. This side here is just a hair thicker than here. If I put this in the ring clamp, I'm not going to put no pressure here. So what I'm going to attempt to do is I have all 3 rings ready. This is the top and the bottom ring. This is the middle ring. It's a little thicker. What I'm going to attempt to do is to apply glue to this, put this on here, and then hold it down, squeeze it with these clamps. So let's see how this works. Okay, we'll leave that dry an hour or so, and we'll see how we did. If it turns out all right, then what we'll do is take this center out, run it through the drum sander, and level this off. Then we'll add the piece to the other side. I don't know if you can see this, but there's the difference in height right here, about 3/100ths of an inch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pass it through the drum sander and try to level this off perfectly flat. Now that that's flattened off, I did the exact same thing to the other side. When that dries, we'll run it through the drum sander and flatten that side, and then we'll add the top and the bottom ring. Now that we have both sides flat, I put the bottom ring on, put it in the ring clamp, squeezed it. We'll leave it dry about an hour, and we'll take it out, flip it over, and we'll put the top ring on. And then our feature ring will be complete. Okay, I turned it upside down. I put the top ring on, which is now on the bottom. So we'll leave that dry overnight, and then we'll start constructing the bowl. To try and keep from wasting so much wood, when you use the straight piece and put the groove in, you waste a lot of wood. To make a base this size, you waste about 10 inches of lumber. So what I'm going to try and do is, that's a 1/4 inch slot cutting bit. I'm going to hold this down with my router thing to keep my fingers well out of the way, and we're going to cut that groove. I forgot to turn the chop back on. There's our groove. I'll do the other one, and then we'll make a piece for in the middle. Now I turned the piece for the base, but it's too thick. So what we'll do is we'll peel it off of there, and we'll keep passing it through the drum sander until it's the correct thickness. Snug fit, but not too tight. There's the base finished. I didn't make it out of maple like I was going to. I made the base out of cherry, and I put a maple insert in it. So we'll leave that dry, and tomorrow we can start constructing this thing. There's the ring that goes next to the base. It's 0.300. .297. I'm off 3/1000ths of an inch in 96 cuts. Now all's left to glue them together, and that'll be the ring next to the base. The diameter of that ring was to be 8.5 inches, and it came out about 8 5/8. So I'm pleased with that also. Since I have so many pieces, this is a little test to see if that'll keep them from splitting open on the thin end. So I'll let them dry about a half an hour, and if they don't split open on the end, that's the way I'll do it. I don't, if I have to cut up that much MDF, it'll take forever. There's 16 glued up. I don't have enough clamps to do them all, so I'll let them dry a half an hour, and we'll do the remainders.